Hi, I'm Courtney Kearney, founder and owner of C. Kearney Consulting. So excited to have you join us as we talk about CRM integrations today. Before we jump into that content, I wanted to share some resources available to you. We put out a monthly article, and last month the article was written by Erica in firsthand, sharing her experience using ChatGPT. We've had great response to this article because she really shares the frustrations and the good and really the bad too, because it's not just a seamless interaction. It is a tool that you have to learn to interact with. So check that out if you haven't done so already. If you're not receiving our emails, please sign up so that you can stay connected with us and receive those great articles and other resources. If you are ready to engage a consultant for your CRM data and integration needs, we are available and you can book a discovery call to talk with us about your needs. If you're not ready for a consultant, completely understand. We do have the book CRM or Die that can help you. And today we're pulling a couple of quotes straight from that book. I invite you to join us Thursday, November 14th to discuss in a forum setting our topics from today. So talking about integration, sharing what you're doing specifically, sharing about, learning about what other people are integrating with, how they are integrating. So we invite you to that CRM chat. We're taking the month of December off, so no CRM chat, no webinar. I have included the list of all of our previous webinars if you want to go check those out in December while you have that Thursday available to you. Now, what exactly is a CRM integration? Speaking of ChatGPT, I asked it what a CRM integration is, and I really liked the response. It's the process of connecting your CRM system with other tools, applications, or databases. Speaking of databases, we're also in a trend where we're seeing a lot of people connect to data warehouses. Really, it's just the process of connecting your CRM to another tool, another place for your data to live. Taking it a step further, what does that integration create? Really, it's a seamless flow of data and information, eliminating the need for double entry and switching between platforms. Thank you, ChatGPT. You reminded me of my favorite quote from a good friend, Julie Shaver. That which has been typed should never be typed again. And honestly, that is our goal for integration, is to reduce that manual entry. Now, how are these systems integrated with your CRM platform? The how can get really technical, but highest level, the things that are most common, the connections are made using SQL, structured query language, plugins like third-party tools, application programming interfaces, also known as APIs, those data warehouses I mentioned before, and several other options. And in today's technology that is available to us, we have a lot of third-party tools like Power Automate, Zapier, Wakato, things that really allow you to plug and play a lot more user-friendly. You don't have to be a developer to understand how to use those tools. So really connections are at our fingertips and available to us if we take the time to learn. Now, I mentioned that we really like using ChatGPT is our AI tool of choice, our generative AI tool of choice. You can use really any of them, but really asking, asking that generative AI tool, here is our CRM system. What integrations would you recommend us using? This is what we have for accounting. This is what we have for our email marketing tool. Really asking ChatGPT or any of the other platforms out there to help you kind of think about those integration or connection options. Now, in chapter 5 of CRM or Die, we also go on to share that system integrations can pull information into CRM, it can push information out into another system, or it can do both. It can push and pull information, and we will look at some examples of those integrations and how that information pushes and pulls. So looking at those examples, these are going to be very high level because I don't know your specific CRM platform. I don't know what other technologies you have in your tech stack. So really, it's just high level. So thinking about examples like connecting your accounting platform or your accounting software to your CRM, whatever tools your operations are using, whether that's a project management tool like Procore, if that is a task or project management tool of some other kind. ERP is a really common thing that gets connected. Some people don't understand what an ERP is, so I've put here the definition. Enterprise resource planning, it really just means that it's a fuller picture than just accounting. So most of the times it includes human resources, it includes some other project management type processes as well. Connecting your email or your Outlook, your business intelligence tools like Power BI, your Tableau. Really, again, these are high-level integration examples. We're going to look at those in more detail a little bit later. But for now, I want to hear from you. What integrations do you have to help your CRM systems? And what direction is it connected? So go ahead and pull up your chat window. If you can't get the chat to engage, just do the Q&A. We'll look at it later. But however you can engage with us, use that tool in Zoom to let us know what integrations do you have. What I mean by what direction is it connected? Again, is it pushing information out? Are you receiving information into your CRM? Are you doing both? Are you pushing and pulling? One of the most common pushing and pulling is that Outlook that I talked about. Are you able to see information from your CRM while you're in Outlook? Are you able to update and push to the CRM from Outlook? So please just take a minute to share with us in that chat window so that we know what integrations that you have that are helping to enhance and optimize your CRM experience. I'm going to keep going, but you keep typing if you haven't already sent that in chat. How are we to be strategically planning for success when we are talking about CRM integrations? Now, before you freak out, if you are already integrated, if you are already well down and you're like, Court, I'm not in the planning stage anymore. Hey, that's okay. You can still come back and do any of the things I'm about to mention. But really, success comes from understanding and documenting how data flows through your business, how data flows from start to finish of a project, how data flows through all the departments. And the key to that is documenting. I cannot say that enough in this webinar that will be together during, so that you understand that really getting it down on paper, so more than just your brain knows how this is working, it allows for so much to come to the surface of maybe you didn't know a certain part of the flow, or another department didn't know that that was a barrier, a bottleneck. We're going to look at some of how to deal with that. But it's vital to get it down and documented so that you can go outside of yourself, your role, your department, really getting more eyes on the data flow and understanding how information is performing in your business. And then, like I said, if you're already down the integration process, really review. Review is important. How is that impacting not just your employees, not just your fellow coworkers, but also your clients too? Is there information that you're asking for from them in multiple stages of the interaction with them? Is there information that you get from them in the prospecting opportunity stage that the operations team isn't getting when they get to the project after you've won the pursuit? Is there a disconnect there and the data is not flowing? Does the pursuit team or does business development or marketing understand the project needs, but then operations is blind to those because that information didn't get put, connected internally? So really making sure that you think outside of yourself, but also outside of just your internal, and how is this affecting our clients and our prospects? Where do you start? I always love starting with the life cycle of a project and really understanding the nitty-gritty of how the data flows from a lead, pursuit, opportunity, whatever you want to call that. But the early stages, if you hear that it's a rumor, the proposal comes out, that whole process, all the way through that you've secured the project and now you've won the work. How does that project get started on the official side? How does it get a project number? When do people start billing their time? Do you bill time during the pursuit? Do you wait to bill time until, it's operations? What are the important information or data milestones during the pursuit? What are the milestones during the project? Really understanding that full life cycle of a project is important and a really good place to start when you're thinking about data flow through your business. Now, after you've documented, what do? Review the process mapping that you have put down on paper in some form or fashion. We're going to look at some options here in a minute, but look specifically for potential silos that are trapping information. So again, getting outside of your department, what is trapped in marketing that marketing can share to other departments? What's trapped in accounting? What is living only with operations? What information is so siloed that it's hurting other people and having a barrier for them to do their work? Those barriers cause inefficiencies and can also cause delays in getting deliverables out, delays in the powerful impact that data and information and how it can be used. Once those are identified, make sure that you address and resolve them swiftly. That allows you to increase and optimize that process and those integrations. Now, some of the examples of our documentation, this is a wide range. You can get it down on, scratch paper, just to have a place to start. High level, it's just the bulleted points. You can use words like this example of, let's document just the phase one of our pursuit and just the phase one of our process. It's the pursuit data. Documenting your goal and specifying that we want to secure new projects and clients. Looking at your data, what specific data points do we capture during this phase? What tools are being used? We've got our CRM tool that's tracking the leads and the opportunity, the client and the contact data, all the interactions between the client and the pursuit team, the project and the pursuit information. We've got our estimating and our pre-con department tracking the budget and the subcontractor information. Those other project and pursuit details about what they're doing on their side. And then, of course, accounting, creating a pursuit number to track employee time. And then really documenting the flow. The lead and the contact information is entered into the CRM. When it's converted to a pursuit and we know that it's something that we're going to put resources towards, it's then pushed over to estimating and pre-con. So that which has been typed does not have to be typed again. And we can have continuity of the opportunity pursuit name. So marketing and business development isn't calling it something different than pre-con and estimating. There is a thread going. And then you can also push it to accounting. So again, everybody's calling it the same project. And then accounting creates that pursuit number so that marketing, business development, and pre-con can all book their or bill their time to that pursuit. Now, hopefully you win the pursuit. And the key information is then pushed from pre-con, all those details of who the partners are going to be on that project, who the subcontractors are going to be, what was the scope, any of that kind of stuff. Maybe there were some changes to the scope, pushes back into the CRM. And then once the opportunity record is completed by marketing, we put our staff team in there. We put some of the other things in there. And then that data is pushed back to accounting. This is a great way to start with the documentation of just using words of how we're going to do this. Now you can take that a step further and maybe do a flow chart, and maybe it's just a whiteboard situation where everybody goes into the room and you just write it out, take a picture of it, and that can be okay for a while. Then you can take it a step further and maybe get artistic with it, a workflow situation like Lucidchart, where you just go in and now with AI, you can use the words to say, how would you create this in Lucidchart? And then create that flow. You can then, and this is a different example than the one I just gave before, but just for the visual sake, you can also get artistic with it and have fun with how the pursuit flows through the project life cycle. Or you can use AI, and I gave the words that you saw on the first 2 slides of that pursuit phase 1 and give it to generative AI, ChatGPT, and it gives you something like this. Now, you absolutely would have to go back in and clean it up and things like that. But I think that we are in a accessible, we have resources available to us at our fingertips that we can get these things documented that might have been super time consuming before. And now in our current landscape, we can get some things visually documented and get going with that process. Now, I've talked a lot about the documentation of how you get yourself up ready and set for success. But now really let's get into the more details of an integration. And we're going to look at 6 common CRM integrations. So really looking at your financial or ERP project data being pushed from accounting to the CRM. So looking at things like your project name, where is it located? But make sure that during that process, when you're mapping out what fields you want to come over from accounting to the CRM, that you make no assumptions. What do I mean by that? So for example, when we go in to help with mapping, we will pull up the accounting record for the project. And marketing will get so excited and be like, oh my gosh, I see all these date fields. What does the start date mean? The completion date? And accounting goes, oh, that doesn't mean anything. The start date is just the day that we entered it in the system. And the completion date is just, we think it might be an 18-month project. So we pick a date 18 months in the future. And marketing goes, never mind, I don't want that information. But if you didn't have that conversation, you could get excited thinking that's the exact start date and that's the exact completion date. So make sure you understand what information you're getting. There might be contact information associated with that project. Some of it might be good, like client information. Others of it might just be the billing address or the billing person. And that might not be something that you want in your CRM system. So make sure to have those conversations as you create and review those integrations. Notice I said review. You don't want to just have those initial discussions and then think that the system stays forever. We know that accounting makes changes to fields and value lists. You want to make sure that you are keeping up with those in the CRM as well. Pursuit data, pushing from your CRM to the operations. And then once operations is like, man, I really like what's coming over from the CRM. It helps me not to have to type or go find the pursuit name or what we're calling it. It's just already here. And then I get to update my information. And then they might be more likely to have a conversation of, hey, you guys put your project reports together and we would really like those in progress photos over in marketing. Could we integrate and bring that over to our system so we have access to it? So really just having that first step of that integration, understanding what you're going to push, where you're going to push it to, and then really what are the triggers? So looking at contact data, pushing and pulling, so to and from Outlook to your CRM and then from your CRM, but making sure that you understand what those triggers are. So that means if somebody sends you an email, does every email get put in the CRM, or is it only when important key information gets shared in an email? Does every client, even if it's just the receptionist that we gave the proposal to, do they belong in the CRM? Or is it really the person that's reviewing the proposals gets put in the CRM? So really understanding all of the filters and structures of what that integration is going to look like. Does every email need to go? Do you need more of a manual? We decide per user what emails go. So making sure that you have that documented and outlined in your integration is important. Personnel data, pushing from HR over to the CRM. This could be things like in the onboarding process, we know that when people interview for jobs, their resume isn't what marketing really needs to sell that person. We don't really necessarily care what employer you had before. What we care about is what projects did you do. So HR pushing some of that resume information over isn't helpful. Yeah, their education, their degree, the year that they graduated, absolutely. But instead, maybe working with HR to create a form to ask for that previous project experience so it can come over to CRM. Or they do set, the preliminary information, it comes over in HR, and then through your CRM or another tool, you ask for that additional information. But understanding what information can come over, what gets tracked, and how often it's reviewed. And then really, this one is a lot of data, so I just put data here. It can be pursuit, project, opportunity, really any kind of data can push or pull to or from your CRM to a BI tool, so a business intelligence tool. Power BI, Tableau, there are a ton, check them out, but really allowing for those interactive dashboards, those widgets to understand all of your data in a more visual tool. And then marketing data, pushing to and from an email marketing tool, something like Constant Contact or SurveyMonkey. If someone unsubscribes, do you want to know that when you're in your CRM? If someone retires or deactivates, do you want that updated so they're no longer getting those emails? So you're no longer paying for that person if you pay by quantity for your emails. Really making sure that those two things stay up to date and in alignment. So those are just 6 common integrations that we are looking at. Now, as we're thinking and talking through these, you might say, hey, some of these I've always thought of as like automations. Like I just automate the information from my CRM to the email platform and back and vice versa. So really, what's the difference? The outcomes are the same. Whether you're integrating, automating, our goal at the end of it is to reduce the manual effort, to streamline the process, to increase efficiencies. So the outcome is the same whether you're integrating or automating. Where it starts to differ is that automation is a function. It's the verb, it's the thing that's happening. And then integration is really the process. And automation can happen in a single system. You can automate within your CRM. Integration is connecting 2 or more systems together to be integrated. So those are some of the differences between those two. Now, what are some of the pitfalls, the things to avoid as you're working through your integrations? Check your technical compatibility and your limitations of all the tools involved. So if you're using a third party like Power BI to connect to systems, you're using it to connect your CRM to your Outlook to create calendar invites. Make sure that you understand the limitations of Power Automate. How does it trigger? Do you get charged on every trigger? Do you get charged only by how often it's used? Is it free? Are there certain features that you have to pay for? Make sure that you understand all sides of the tool. Does the CRM allow all of the data fields that you want to use to go or be pushed to another place? If you want to push information back in, can your CRM receive that information? Making sure that you understand the technical components and not building out all these wish lists of what you want and then looking to find out it can't happen in the first place. Looking at, again, documentation and mapping, specifically the directionality and identifying those triggers, because really sometimes the triggers determine which avenue you're going to go and how you're going to integrate them. So for example, if your CRM has a data lake or a data warehouse and an API, there might be fields available in one and not available in the other. So if you want to push your education in from your HR back into your CRM, there might only be one path to do that, which then determines how you're going to integrate. So make sure that you're looking at those. It can also be that your triggers. So for some CRMs, the only way to push information back in is through API. You can't do it through other avenues, which means that if I want to write or receive information to that my path has been determined for me. Your triggers can also identify how you're going to move forward. So if your trigger is, I want this updated every 15 minutes, or I want it to be always constantly checking, that would mean that it's going to require a lot of calls and a lot of monitoring, which means that maybe a webhook is not going to work for you. Maybe you're going to have to go a different route. So really making sure that you understand what's going to trigger these integrations, trigger the automations so that you can avoid getting all the way down and then realizing that you chose the wrong path. Understand scalability and allow for growth and flexibility, ensuring future adaptability. So really looking at, okay, Power Automate, what it does for free is good, but if I want it to, run, and yes, we're only doing, I don't know, maybe we win 2 projects a month, but you don't want it to break if you all of a sudden are winning 20 projects a month. So you want to be able to think about that growth and that flexibility of the tools that you're choosing. And then always gain buy-in and final approval from all stakeholders, again, outside of your department. So making sure that IT has signed off on it, that operations understands all the different parts and pieces, all those stakeholders need to buy in so that you can avoid the pitfall of it falling apart later. Don't set it and forget it. This is something that needs to be reviewed regularly. Don't overcomplicate and don't try to do it all at once. Bite off those integrations little by little. Don't forget about the risk of human error. So those post-integration trainings, you got to make sure that everybody understands that, hey, if you change a value in accounting or all of a sudden change how you're doing things, how you're categorizing things, that's going to mess up all these things down the line. So making sure that everybody understands how to play nice with the integration, sharing the documentation, and then review often and regularly. Now, if you're trying to sell, hey, I want to integrate, I love this idea, but what are the benefits? What is the ROI on this? Improving data flow improves collaboration across the business. It improves your business efficiencies. You get enhanced reporting and analytics, better business intelligence, and therefore better decision making. You have streamlined processes, workflows across departments, a unified central information that is accessible, priceless, reduce human error, reduce data entry, get rid of those silos and those data barriers. Now, this has all been a wealth of information, but what are my next steps? What are those takeaways that I should really focus on? I've narrowed it down to 3 things. Document your firm's data flow. Get curious about the possibilities of integrations to explore, implement, or enhance. Maybe use generative AI to, have that curiosity and possibilities explained to you or put into a list form so you can look into them. Audit your existing integrations, automations, and documentation, and then just really audit your process around those things. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I have put together some resources. We have case studies, more articles, some workflow automation integration ideas for you to check out if you want to get further into this process. Thank you so much for spending this time with us, and I look forward to having you join us for our CRM chat on November 14th. Thank you.